Welcome to Adventures in Silvernail Campaign 5, What the Fae, Episode 7. This is the Odyssey of Chaos, and we are back, my friends. The players have been through the ringer. They have been trauma bonded. They sit inside of a golden temple. This is going to be a really short intro. They sit inside of a temple dedicated to Summer Song. They sit around a makeshift fire that is in the kitchen that was a bar that became a kitchen that Sharp is preparing had prepared some fresh killed kelpie meat for some kelpie steaks for those people who eat meat. For those who don't, they have to find their own food. There was no vegetarian options at this event, but all the players sit around the table that is in the kitchen because that makes sense, and are eating your food. And you all kind of sit there and can I just get an initiative for social interaction? I just want to know where people are going and how it's going, not because we're fighting. I like a social initiative because I get confused. Yeah, just hit me with a d20.
I got a 6.
You got a 17.
I rolled a 10.
I rolled an 11.
Oh, not me being first. Come on, y'all.
So it was 17. Then it was.
Oh, Byron says he can't hear you again, Scott.
I can't
Yeah,
see the
I have
chat,
to,
so
like-
I'm gonna beat you.
Yeah, I remembered it last second. It should be good now.
Okay,
It should be good now.
I just saw that.
And then lower side. Boom. So everyone is sitting around and they are eating this food or whatever you are opting to eat. Sylvie, what is going through Sylvie's brain as he is sitting here, kind of just like decompressing for the first time since everything has happened, since his life has kind of shifted, and he's sitting around these people. How does he feel about the situation? What's his feelings on the people around you? What's just going through Sylvie's brain?
Sylvie's definitely just like lounging there, staring off in the distance, just like very much a dissociative look on their face, just thinking, I really can't believe how I ended up in this situation. What the fuck? What is my mother going to think? I haven't talked to her in days. Also, this cheese is sus as hell, but also is their chemistry question mark? The root girl feels like she's weird for being roots, but like, girl, you're a tree? That's good. And then the frog. I feel like deep down he truly loves violence, but just won't act on it. And I feel like I could really bring that out of it. Maybe one day. An Ursine. Oh, Ursine. You're gonna be a good one. I'm gonna like him. Just a guy. Just staring off. And then I look back at the cheese and I'm like, damn. If only he knew how to cook vegetarian options.
Yeah, and you are one of the vegetarians. So do you go out and find something else to eat? Are you just kind of like sitting there not eating? Are you just kind of just like?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely eyeballing the oasis that's in front of me, being like, I know edible plants. So I'm gonna like just make me a tray.
Make a nice salad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you would have gathered some of the flowers and the things that are growing up organically around the oasis and in different spots. The moisture does help with that. Is there anything that itches in your brain that you want to like try to in this moment think through? Is there anything that like you're questioning or like anything that feels open into
I
that?
feel like right now, like Sylvie's definitely like thinking, I don't quite know everyone well enough to just, saying all the rash things that want to come out of my mouth. So I'm gonna kind of like wait to gauge and engage, and that's where I'm at with my thinking.
Gotcha. Tidbit, as you are kind of sitting and eating at this table, or you're existing at this table, you kind of catch Sylvie's eyes kind of clock onto you. You kind of like, you're always on high alert. You don't really miss anything, but that kind of like, just like seeing Sylvie because of the fear you have a little bit, just kind of like snaps you out of that. As you're sitting there at the table, what is your mind state? Kind of same question base you've been, thrown from. You just graduated yesterday and then right into a big boy mission. How's Tibbet handling it?
I think at the moment, Tidbit is in their happy place. When they're in their pond, that's their moment to forget about all this kind of chaotic, crazy shit that's been happening to them over the past few days, and people trying to give them job offers that they did not ask for. And Tidbit is surrounded by a bunch of new people they're not sure how to feel about. This elf summoned demons and is now eating the flowers out of Tidbit's happy place. That's unusual. There's cheese that's talking and Tidbit's not quite sure if Tidbit should try and eat it yet, but Tidbit still wants to, but Tidbit knows the cheese can talk and that might make it taste better or worse. Tidbit saw a tree on fire move and talk, but seems like more of a person than a tree. But Tidbit's still not used to seeing fire not fully burn something. So that's weird. And Tidbit's not sure why the man is here either. But he's here even though it looked like he had a lot of chances to leave and said he wanted to, but he's still here. So Tidbit's really just trying to focus on the steak in front of them.
Beautiful, perfect. You do have a moment as you're like kind of like looking over at the burning tree girl who you don't know, but you have this sort of kinship with as your eyes kind of track to her badge from the Sky Defense Academy, and and also Desiree knows that though you haven't met, you guys both share the ability to share a dream space. It is something that all attendees of the Sky Defense Academy can do. It's where you guys spend a lot of your time training. But if you were to set the intention that you wanted to open yourself up to commune, like open that network up so that someone else could like speak to you in a place that is utmost safety, which is the dream space that you're sharing with them. Like it's hard to keep secrets there, and it's a place that you can communicate without being observed on. That you and Desiree share that space. You've not done that personally with someone else outside of your own little squad because you've never had a reason to. But you know that technically you can, and technically you also have seniority over her. You guys, like Sky Defense Academy is definitely like a military art school. Like Erica could think about it as like having Scroll. Like even though you graduated first, because he is an alumni, he just like automatically trumps you. But you would trump if a graduate came out of the school today, you would have seniority over them, but because it's an alumni, they have it over you. It kind of like falls into those kind of orders. So you know that you like have this ingrained like social comfort with each other, even though you don't know each other. That is something that you could explore if you wanted to. But you kind of like have that thought through your brain because it is the first time that you could do that with someone else who you haven't spent the last 8 years with. It's like, and that kind of figures through your brain. And you start to kind of work back into that stake. The things you say are accurate. Nothing really stands out to you. Is there anything you want to try to press in on? Anything that like kind of sticks out in your brain that you are like, like just want to put extra thought into?
I don't think so. I think Tidbit's really content right now.
Gotcha. Mr. Ursine, as you sit at this table, you kind of look around. The people seem kind of chill. Also, you got your 3 friends at your ankles, kind of like bumping up against you and bumping into you, but not really like kind of interacting with you, just kind of playing around at your feet. What is going through your head as you sit at this table of new friends on the day you just finished your big mission? You sit at the table with new people.
I voiced this countless times, but I'm kind of upset. That was supposed to be my last big job, and I was sort of thrown into one last one. But it doesn't seem like I have a lot of control over whether or not I can remove myself from this situation. So may as well just get it over as quickly as possible. He, as far as like everyone else around him, the frog is interesting. He seems nice enough, but not 100% certain if his drive is there completely. At least in the same way that my own is, where I want to get things done quickly and efficiently. Sylvie is a little bit scary. At first, maybe not the first time I've encountered a fairy, but first time I've seen a fairy summon demons. Woohoo! Desiree is interesting. Probably makes me wonder if I left the oven on. And then I would probably remember that I don't have an oven anymore. That was the last place. So that's I'm cool now. I'm probably watching the cheese at the moment because I'm not certain if I've ever seen a food folk make food and then eat it. Like, do they? I've never seen one eat. It's intriguing. Is this like a cannibalism type of thing, or is it okay? What would they eat? Yeast? No, that would be like bread. I don't know. It's perplexing to me. And like, how does this sustain him? I feel like he's just cheese all the way through, except for the holes and the items inside of those holes. And are those items in those holes? Like, is he eating that? It's interesting. Probably just watching that. And interacting with my little friends, seeing if they want any of the food, feeding them if they do, giving them some water. Yeah.
They don't seem to eat. They do take water. They kind of like stick their limbs into it. You notice that they really often don't eat. They also don't really look like they don't look like a new bouquet of roses, but also like they move around enough. Like it's like, okay, well, it's not dead. Like okay. So like you got a green thumb because the plants hang out with you, but if someone looks at these plants, it's kind of like, why do you have these dead shrubs with you? So it's kind of like that energy. But as you kind of sit there and you're like kind of watching this cheese kind of like exist, and you're just like perplexed by it, as a person who has spent a bit of time, with the favored foe of food folk, some might say, you've spent a lot of time watching food folk as you grew up, or you spent a lot of time next to silverware and Penelope's sentient flora. Has the thought occurred to Ursine that this last job may not be a job that ends? Like, kind of like speaking with Melody and her speaking of the primordial princes and like how this thing is like has been thousands of years in the making. Has Ursine how does he feel about that concept? Because I know he wants to be done with it, and it's like, has he thought about the fact that
it fucking better be a job that ends? So I'm gonna try to do it as efficiently as possible. Yeah, I don't care if it affects like my hourly rate. Because at this point, I don't really care. Yeah, it better be. Yeah,
I love that. Sharp, as you sit and you watch the people eat your food that you have prepared, and some not eat the food that you prepared, you see Ursine kind of look at you with a curious glance, and then like you can see like a separate thought appear in his head that kind of just like causes him to like start cursing and swearing. Like he's like not out loud, but he's like you just remember work when you're at dinner and you're like, and you see like it's not attached to you, but you like are reading that on his face. But you're sitting with these new companions. You left silverware. You hijacked a portal from the crackers and jumped through a doorway. You found a group of people who are part of the Will of Asteri, which you are now a part of because you came through the portal, but you know that you are not a part of the way that everyone else is a part of because it wasn't your portal you came through. And also this is an advancement in your prerogative of what you were supposed to be doing. Like you have like made a lot of progress very shortly. How is Mr. Chesterfield?
Definitely looking around at everybody, thinking exactly that in my head, but they have no fucking idea that I am not of this blood that they all come from. Which is weird, because they all look really weird. There's no way a burning bush, a little frog, a fairy, and an old man come from the same bloodline. That's crazy. But also, the frog was right. This is about Summer Song. The frog knows a lot. The frog is dedicated. You know, Tidbit is actually kind of interesting. I think I want to align myself the closest with Tidbit, but also he went to school with Desiree. Why don't they act the same? She seems a little different. Maybe something wrong there. She's so intelligent, I would think she would succeed. But anyways, luckily they don't know. I hope the food tastes good. I literally can't taste or smell. I just do it by sight. They all seem to really like it. Tidbit. Do you happen to have a quill and some ink?
No.
Tears at inventory.
All right, nothing to write with in this house?
What's in a priest bag?
Desiree will reach into her bag because she obviously has one because she's been writing this whole time, and will also hand him a book and go, I guess you could borrow these, but please be careful. I only have 4 extra.
Thank you, Desiree. Desiree, you and Tidbit with the school, right? I bet you have a lot to talk about, a lot in common. What were classes like up there?
We were in different classes, is I think the best way I could put that.
As
Tidbit
in,
had
like,
to
one of you
take
were better
math.
than the. Oh, sorry, Tidbit. What'd you say?
Tidbit did math.
Oh,
Oh, and what did you study, Desiree?
I don't really know if I can talk about it with you guys yet, but let's just say I studied how to be not perceived a lot in big spaces by others.
so hiding?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like a spy.
Well, I guess you could put it that way.
Oh, you literally just admitted you're a spy. All right.
Well,
Okay.
actually, those were your words. Those didn't come out of my mouth.
You did just agree to them, darling. You know.
We don't have to put a label on it.
I think it's more of a plausible
You both
deniability
just put
type of
labels
thing.
on it.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm gonna go outside, try to find a stick, make like a arcane firearm to boost the spells. You know, after that shit we just went through, we're probably gonna have to fight a whole mountain next. Just want to be prepared. Just gonna go outside.
Smart.
And as Desiree sits and she ponders the way she just put her foot in her mouth, she's sitting around these new people. She was on that mission prior, investigating the Blackwell brother and the Neo Asgarathis. And as she sits around these new people, I think she is forced with realizing that it is very different to interact with people and spy on them when they care that you're there. When you're with the alumni, when you're with alumni, they just like, if you were at this table and everyone else who was alumni, no one would say anything to you. You would just sit here listening. You could be writing on your book. You could do whatever you want, and no one would say anything about it. But now everyone's just like, oh, like you're unique, and you've never like viewed yourself as unique. You've always just been like, you always like tried to be sort of lowbrow, and you're like kind of like pondering. You're like, oh wow, what I've always done is not really working out here. But you kind of see that no one's like really taking it seriously. Like he just kind of left. But where does your brain sitting at as these things are all kind of unfurling, watching these different kinds of people?
Now that she kind of has a task and another objective at hand, I imagine that her brain would be firing like 90 miles a minute with planning things that she needs to do, and planning for the worst at the beginning. She thinks about the other 3 besides Sharp, and thinks that if it came down to it, she probably could eat them if survival was at stake. But Sharp could prove to maybe be a good ally. I mean, we would work well together, but something seems a little bit off about him. And in her journal before, I would imagine that by this point she had big sections written about everybody, but for Tidbit, she really just kind of has a question mark still there. So a lot more uh, spying and espionage that she might need to get done on Tidbit.
Perfect. And as you're kind of like having this realization, everyone, you're finished. You eat meat. Yeah, you're the carnivore
Yeah.
diet. Yeah. You consume your kelpie meat, which was good because Scott did roll really well on it last episode. It was like a 20 something. So like it is made. Even you wouldn't know that he can't taste this. You have no idea. This is perfection. He's good at following recipes. Everyone kind of starts to dissipate and move out of this space. The temple itself is pretty big. We kind of established that there are 3 levels to it. There is a giant pool in the center of the main level that has these lounge chairs around it. Some lounge chairs around it. Grassy area. There is a bar/kitchen moment happening. And on
But
the top
he
floor,
said it also like went through where the tiki bar was, so I still imagine like the edge of it has like the tiki like roof, you know?
Real.
Because the tiki
it's
bar
all in
extended.
theme. It's all in theme. It's giving like someone cut off the front of a cruise ship, and it's like, ooh, the fun parts. And then like on the very top level, there are like these. They're like, if you know those really cool like Apple jobs, you have like those nesting pods you can like go take a nap in. It's like one of those like just like a small like place that you
Egg.
can have like you can have seclusion. They're like almost like little side cubicles that kind of like set up like that people can go in and pray in, or just like have some alone time. You can take a short rest or long rest. You can sleep in there if you want, or if you want to sleep in the water, near the water. So you have options to move yourself around. So everyone starts to separate and move. Sylvie, what is the first thing that you would do to give yourself some distance, some space, something that will help you feel more you? Since you've been around so many people who are viewing you actively, what is something that you would do to help you like remember who you are, if anything? And it doesn't have to be inside here. You can also leave. You know, you guys also know that you can like you all have the power to leave the temple. Only you can enter and exit. And the traps outside will not affect you guys. So you have free reign to move about during this 8-hour long rest, and so you're not like constrained to this space. You don't have to take a long rest if you want to, but there are 8 hours of this. I think 24 hours of this temple being here, but we'll be here for 8 hours. So anything you'd like to do?
And technically, you only have to sleep 6 of the 8 hours, because 2 hours
Correct.
can be like light activity.
This is true.
Yeah, I mean, Sylvie's like definitely over all this shit that's been happening, so I'm the way that Sylvie works, they very much can make space for themselves within any space. It's dissociative 101. They are great at it. And so I'm probably still lounging in that same lounge chair in my dissociative state, just zoinked out. I imagine I would be one that would like take it upon myself to really get a rest in first because, you know, I'm gonna have to be quicker to get up is how I feel it always is. So yeah, I'm trying to get into that like meditative rest state.
Okay. And are you aiming to take that rest on the lounge chair? You're just
Yeah,
gonna chill there. Okay, great.
yeah.
So yeah,
I
you kind of like
don't even notice.
you kind of like are laying there, and you kind of like are much mindlessly like you eat the food, you kind of like get the itis. You're just kind of laying there, like, oh, you actually didn't eat the food because you're vegetarian. You had your nice hefty salad. You're picking up little flowers next to you and just like daintily putting them into your mouth. And in your other hand, you have that devil's talisman that you have, and you just kind of have it like just mindlessly in your hand, just like feeling it, almost like a stem kind of tool, just like tracing the outline, kind of like
My
letting
fidget
yourself.
spinner.
Yeah, just kind of letting yourself
Yeah.
like calm down and cool off. And as you're laying there, you just feel yourself getting cooler and cooler and cooler. You can literally feel the energy moving through your body. You can feel like you're cooling, like you're getting colder in this space. That is not a cold space. And you trying to like channel that into you.
Oh yeah,
Um,
noticing that, I'm definitely delving right into like going further. I'm like, I know this kind of a touch.
Yeah, and you kind of like
Yeah.
move into this a in between like sleep and like meditation. You're like in an almost flow state. As you're like it with the weave. You just kind of like feel that kind of going through you. And I'm gonna leave you right there for a second. Tidbit. What are you doing as you are starting to get ready for bed, or people are starting to bed down? Anything in particular you want to do before you want to start making those movements?
I think Tidbit would want to go to the bottom of the pond, and then before lying face down to sleep, um,
At the bottom of the pond. Take it.
I think I'd want to use my legend lore boon and
Mhm.
ask about these primordial princes.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Bam, 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 bam. And as you do so, you kind of you move to the bottom of the the pond. You kind of sit there, cross-legged, and you kind of like are just meditating. And there's an image on the Roll20, Scott, as you see in front of you Sir Irver Summersong, not in the form that you had seen him previously, but you see him in his professional form. He is brown skin, long braids. He sits in these golden robes. There are screens and discs floating all around him. He's always observing and watching all of them. And it's kind of like you're sitting inside of like the principal's office as you kind of like manifest cross-legged into a chair, and he looks at you. Oh, welcome. You've been busy.
That was not cool. That was a not cool thing to do. You sent me in a portal and I didn't even get to really graduate.
What is a graduation but just a moment?
It's a really cool moment.
But what if the next is even cooler?
Well, we must relish the moment we have, for the next is not guaranteed.
You are right. You have learned. What brings you here? The primordial princes. What do you wish to know?
It wants to know if it's gonna be hard. Tidbit thinks it sounds really difficult, but Tidbit could use like a few tips, maybe?
What is hard for Tidbit is not hard for Sylvie. What is hard for Sylvie is not hard for Sharp. What is hard for Sharp is not hard for Ursine. So what is hard for you, Tidbit?
Tidbit does not like brutalist, unabashed murder.
And
That we would probably have to do.
perhaps that is why Tidbit's on this journey. Maybe Tidbit's on this journey to confront those feelings. Maybe Tidbit's on this journey to push those feelings. Perhaps unabashed murder is not the way. Perhaps unabashed murder is the only way.
So it could be anything then.
Well, when it comes to you, it'll be what you think is right in the moment. It is why you are the Peace Walker.
Oh, Tidbit sees. Tidbit is chosen, and Tidbit can do no wrong. Thank you, God. Goodbye.
It is not that Tidbit does no wrong. It is that Tidbit has done no wrong. I've
Tidbit
seen
is
all
still
you.
here.
You leave when class is over when I dismiss you. Not
This makes sense.
correct. No. What is Summer Song saying? You cut me off, and all these different realities.
Tidbit.
Train up are hard.
It's not that Tidbit can do no wrong. It's that Tidbit has not done wrong yet.
Right.
But that's a good track record.
That is great. I God of Time have seen all of time and all of time, and I know what you have done. And through knowing what you have done, I have deemed all those actions worthy of being my champion. So no matter what you
Whoa.
do, it will be what you have done when I chose you. So if anything, you're the only person who really doesn't have to worry about what they're doing because it probably will be for the right thing, which is why you are the Peace Walker. Chosen by God, as you say.
So, any advice on direct next steps?
You are closer than you already. You are closer than you think. My other half gave you a message, and he was, while more fortuitous than I would be, he was accurate. There is a champion. He is near, and through proximity, you will be guided along the right path.
Mm. And Tidbit can really trust all these people are scary, sir. But these people are scary. They summon demons and eat flowers and made of food and burn and talk to plants. And the plants talk back and go into their skin.
I will not ask you to hurt anyone, and I will also not ask you to trust anyone that you do not trust. I just ask you to win. If you do not trust them, Peace Walker, then do not trust them. But if they are on this journey with you, there is some importance to them, even if outside of yourself. And that, my friend, may be even more important because perspective.
Tidbit has learned.
Don't you always? I love these moments, these chats. Anything else, Tidbit?
Can you send Tidbit snacks?
Tidbit, I'm not gonna send you snacks.
Why?
You can always just go get snacks.
It's
Also, if
so
you would have
within your power.
all right, how about this? How about anytime you find snacks, you just believe that I sent them to you, and then I will be sending you snacks through the power of belief, because inevitably you will find snacks, and then you can thank me because I am inevitable.
It's what the cheap gods do.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay.
They may be new here, but they've been around for a long time because. Also, think about it. If all the gods just gave out all the snacks to all their patrons, I just have the you, and you ask for a lot, and I don't give it to you at all. Some of them have lots of patrons, and they give it. They're like, I want this, I want that, and they're like, okay. And then what happens? That's my whole job, is keeping them up here and us. Tidbit, I literally would love to give you the entire world, but my whole shtick is that we cannot interfere with your world, so I can't actually give you anything.
Yeah, okay. But maybe next time, right?
Perhaps.
Okay.
Think of me when you have your next snack. Tidbit. He doesn't actually. He's just not mad. She just. Oh, it's snap activated. He snaps, and then you. But then you're underwater, so you're just bubbles kind of.
And then I get face down.
Earth sign. What do you do in this moment? You sit around this temple.
How deep is this water? Like, if I decide to take a nap in there, is that potentially life-ending?
Yes, if you can't breathe, it is deep.
I'll dip my feet into it then, and like sort of sit on the edge, as if it were a pool, And
This water is not hot, as the last
Yeah.
water outside was. This is just nice room temp water.
It's a shame. It felt good on the bones. I'm probably gonna spend some time. I'll take some reclaimed wood out of my adventures pack and my wood carving tools. And I'll start whittling some figurines. And yeah, that's probably all I'm really focused on doing. Just
Yeah.
resting up a bit.
Got to replenish those resources. You did throw a lot of them out during that fight.
did. I did.
5 of them, and you didn't pick none of them up. So you gotta start from scratch. But yeah, you start to take some time to whittle those, start to whittle those crafts. Do you plan to do anything else, or do you plan to do that until you fall asleep?
I'll probably do that until I fall asleep. But I'll be asking my blights for like inspiration. Like, okay, so what should like last time you had me do a little guy with a top hat? Are we thinking like? I mean, this guy could be holding a duck if you want. You like ducks, right?
Yeah, you see that Viney and Twiggy start to like strike poses. Viney is like making their limbs into different poses and things, and Twiggy is moving their branches around to give you different inspiring poses.
Twiggy, that's gross. That one's gross. I'm not doing that one.
Nito's inspiration is always like stick figure. He's like, you should paint a stick figure. He only just makes the same because he has a humanoid shape. He's just like this. He just plants himself. Never changes. It's always like you should paint. Sometimes you get arms up. So often it's just like he's like that.
I do a couple of those.
And as you do that, you kind of do that for a few hours until you will eventually fall asleep. Perfect. Mr. Chetterfield, you just headed outside. You were going to find some wood to craft an arcane focus. Do you just need any old wood? Just a branch?
I'm preferably looking something that can whittle into like kind of a wand.
Okay.
Except, actually, I don't want to do full wand. I want it to go out and then have like that. I just want it to be like a big spoon, like a big wooden spoon you would stir meat in the frying pan with.
With a wand to spoon. Okay, I'm here for it. Yes,
it's a wand, but I essentially want it to look like a wooden spoon.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
So
Make me add an investigation check.
Perfect. Oh, not 20, but with my investigation, that's a 30.
Yeah. You find the perfect. You find the perfect stick that you looks like you don't have like you break it off and you're like, wow, I don't have to like actively carve this very much because it already has like a spoon like quality to it. It's given perfect dimensions. Like, wow, I could have ordered this online. What's online? I don't know, but I could have ordered this.
Cool. Well, I'm going to find a spot to sit, break out my wood carving tools on my right, break out my thieves tools on my left, and borrow a couple pieces from my cooking tools too, because I can't taste it if it's on it. And then I'm going to use these tools to kind of whittle away, just kind of soften some of the handle edges as they do light yellow magic, kind of shears off in like sparks, but kind of like twist and pop as I'm trying to turn this into an arcane firearm that I'm going to hold to enhance my spells. And then I just kind of stop and look back at the door, take that knife, flick it, put it in the dirt, and I'm going to pull out that message I got from the chest.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that say exactly again?
It says.
I just don't want to mess up the wording.
You don't have the first message anymore, so you just have the second one, which came after your message went through. It said, "We've begun to fear you become compromised. Accessing the Fae more than makes up for this. Where did you find entry? We will send scouts."
I'm going to use some of the mud, just kind of stick some of like the edge of one of my picks, my thieves' tool in it, to write on it, and I'm going to say, all you need is the blood of the god of time and you can enter. Oh wait, you can't. Fuck off, I'll be back later with information, like I always do. And then I'm going to draw a middle finger and roll it back up and put it away because I got to send it in the morning when I can cast the spell again.
You can lock it. You can put it back into the chest, and it will send it automatically if you want, or you can.
So does the chest
pull it
just
out.
reappear? Because I can't cast it again.
Yeah, it went away, then it reappeared when that new message came through. So like they cast it again after. There was a weird time thing. I don't know if you picked up on it yet, but your
So it's
delayed
still
message,
out there next to where I killed that Kelpie.
Yeah, well, I would assume you would have just don't leave it around. So yeah. After you did that first one, you kind of just put it back on. You just didn't respond to it that time. Once you put this response into it, that will count as the.
Can we say that I if I had to keep holding it, can I hide it outside because they're gonna see me carrying a big chest?
Oh, it can go. It doesn't have to.
Oh, it's
to
magically
stay.
this.
Yeah. You can when you activate it, it becomes
Great.
like a regular sized chest. And when you don't, it's like a little toy
I'm gonna
chest.
pull it out of my war hole then, and just open my palm as it gets bigger. Open the top, put the message in, shut it,
It
and
hurts
then
every
poof,
time you say it.
it disappears.
Every time I'm like, it's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep whittling. I just want to point out through the night I have to whittle. I have to cast magic for my little eldritch cannon to come back, and at the end I have to touch something to do more magic. So I'm just gonna, after I'm done, just go back inside, sit in front of the door, and take my hour freeze and just guard the door for everyone.
Yeah, you do have about 7 hours of work to do. Then you get that last hour being like, I'm gonna rest now. But also your character doesn't really need an active, right? It could,
I just have to have an hour of not moving.
Yes, and also as an artificer, you can make a bunch of things during your long rest, which is all of these things that you're making. So, sounds perfect. As you're sitting there whittling, the thought that kind of runs through your brain is, I think for the first moment in a long time, Sharp is ahead of the curve. You've always been like chasing a lead, and now it's like, and people are always like asking you for information on questions you really just don't have the answers to, and now it's like, oh shit, how'd you do that? Oh, whoa, how did you do that? Like, whoa, crazy, you're in the Fae already? Like, that's a big deal. So I feel like Sharp is kind of recognizing that. Is there anything on Sharp? Is Sharp one of those kind of people who is a go-getter, or is he kind of the person who's like, I'm gonna be a by the book kind of guy, like,
I am lawful evil, and I don't think it's by training. I think it's how I'm programmed, so to speak, from where I'm from. I have my motive and my objective that's going to make me get up and go if I sense there's a possible little lead into what I need to know. But there's still but I'm lawful evil, so there's that line is really far, as where some people's line is right here that they don't cross.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. I mean, we did watch you, murder some crackers real early on, so like we've seen what you do, and then you went to being a nice guy. So if it in your case, I feel like the ends justify the means. It's like I got you in, yeah. Okay, perfect. So you just kind of sit outside for a couple hours, and you start to whittle.
I'll eventually come back inside, just to do it inside, so I'm not exposed.
Gotcha. And also while you're out there, you kind of like are taking in the Fae for the first time. I'll even give you that since you're like not of the Fae. The water you can feel the heat from the stream, even though you've taken some like space away from it, as almost was like a sauna doors open. You can hear, it feels almost like music is playing in the distance, and it's coming from the land of music. That almost just sounds like ambient music playing over the in the air. You can still feel and taste. You can still taste the brown sugar, and and the cinnamon is still in on your lips. And also, you do notice that even at this point where you guys are like resting and like kind of like setting up, it's still. You don't know what time of day it is. The sun, the heat level hasn't changed. The sun hasn't really moved around a little bit. But you do note as you're sitting out there kind of working, you're like, it's still a little warm. And you kind of notice some of your cheese is a little weird, but you're like, okay. You're just mentally recognizing, you're like, okay, how do I... This feels different now because it's all just like a little bit soggy. But you're just aware of that as you're out there working. Desiree Almira, you sit inside the temple. People have started to go off and do different things. You see Sylvie is laying on a lounge chair, unconscious. You see that Ursine is also near that pool of water, kind of like got feet in, kind of like if he was outside, like getting a tan, he would have a sunburn right now because he's just like belly up, just like has passed out. His blights are like laying over him, kind of writhing around. Tidbit went into the water. You haven't seen Tidbit come out of the water. You assume he's fine. He's a frog. It's okay.
He's done it before.
Will be the first time. And then that Sharp headed outside for a bit. He said he was going outside to do an arcane focus, building an arcane focus. So he went outside. Is there anything that you would like to do as you're starting to bed down, or any things that tickle the brain that you want to investigate in this time of sleep and rest?
I imagine that she would find like a high dry place as opposed to like where everybody else has kind of gone, and wrap up any like journaling or any last thoughts about the day, maybe even everything that she saw just now, like people's patterns, and start tracking like how they end up going to sleep, what times they're going to sleep, being a total crazy stalker, and then probably once she tires herself out, getting hunkered down for a long rest because I need spell slots.
Perfect. As you are hunkering down for that long rest, is there anything that Desiree feels, or that Erica feels that Desiree does, that is put on because she is playing this informant role? Do you think that any part of her is like, oh, she's not actually this clueless or this ditchy, but she does it because it helps her get information? Does she? And if that is true, does she let any of that go in these moments of like trying to like go to sleep as herself versus this person she plays all day?
I feel like she plays a tiny bit ditzier than she really is, but the personality that she's giving is 100% just who she is and the things that she would say or normally do or act. And I think that it's interesting for her with the party, as we were mentioning earlier, because she's being perceived so much. This is a very new and almost kind of uncomfortable but exciting feeling to her too, because people haven't really noticed things about her before, or especially like brought them up to her, anyone that she might have considered a friend. So she could be excited thinking these bonds of friendship might be blossoming, but I think she's still a little uncomfortable and apprehensive because she's never experienced anything like this.
Completely makes sense. Can you make me a history check?
That was a 13.
13. You're kind of sitting there, kind of trying to relax. You're, just existing, and something that sticks out in your brain that is just something that keeps coming back up, that just is reoccurring every time you try to relax. Melody mentioned your great great grandmother, Desandra, and she mentioned the condition you have, but you can read the inflection that she gave, that like she felt bad about it, and that just, which would be fine, but the version of the story in your brain is that this is Desandra is a blessing from Desandra. It was not something that was a bad thing. So I think there might be some confusion in this moment that you're realizing that this person who knew Desandra speaks about it this way, but then your family is framing it in a different way, and you don't know, like, neither of them really in your heart have a reason to lie to you, like your family or this random lady who just like recruited you to her cult. But like that is something that's in your brain. It's like, oh, interesting. And then I think blessing and curse kind of like sitting in your brain of like, what is the difference between that verbiage? And I think you're just kind of sitting in that as you're sitting there, kind of like drifting with. That is a thought on your brain as you're just like sitting there, like trying to go to sleep. That eventually puts you to sleep. And the last thing I will ask is, do you open your network server, I don't know how to frame it, your dream network, to anyone, and or specifically Tidbit?
Hell no, not yet. And she doesn't have any friends, but she doesn't trust Tidbit yet, and she doesn't have any friends except maybe like her mentor that she might want to hear from, but bitch is tired. After, like, y'all don't understand, she's barely hanging on, so.
Yeah, and as you sit there, you don't even think about Tidbit in that moment. You're just so on this like, a blessing, and you're thinking about like the dictionary like definition of blessing, a dictionary definition of a curse. Like you're looking at like you're playing through those versions of the stories, and you're like trying to see like where they mismatch. And as everyone starts to go to sleep in their respective states of being and or lack of sleep, we will take a short bathroom break, and we'll be back momentarily. Thank you, friends. We're back, and it is pre-long rest. I know there's just some, slight miscommunication in the chat with my homies, my little minions of chaos. Also, I don't think we did it earlier. Wave to the cameras, my minions of chaos. Wave to the camera. We're having a great time. Tenor wave. Thank you. You're not being held hostage. Okay. It's okay. As we return from the break, my girl Sylvie was first up in that pseudo initiative order. There it is. Yes, it is. Sylvie, you feel that cold. You were succumbing to that cold the last we saw you, and you kind of open your eyes and you see kind of like almost. It's not as creepy as this analogy sounds, but I can't think of a better analogy. It's almost like you're at a funeral viewing, and there's the glass casket in front of you, and there is someone who looks starkly familiar to you, and someone that you recognize as your twin. Except where you have like black and purple, they have white and silver. But they are, and also they are the size that you would be if you were enlarging yourself. So they're like a regular size, slightly larger than. They're not a fairy, but they're also like kind of big. But they're inside of this case, and it's also this is a recurring dream for you. So a place that you visit often as you sit there with your twin. Is there anything that strikes the brain as you sit in this space, kind of like your confidant, one of your three homies, your mother, your devil, and your twin?
I mean, I'm just like sitting there staring, and I'm just like pondering how the hell I ended up in this situation and what the fuck is going on. What would you be doing in this situation? I need fucking advice. And I'm just like, help me, help you, help us.
And just for specificity, what situation would that be exactly? Since I know you're in a layer of situations, which one are you
Yeah.
currently lamenting to her about?
So lamenting about like the whole I'm a part of a party of Will of Asteri motherfuckers distracting me from like my original intent of like what I thought I was brought to like this realm of being to do. I'm like, and then my own like missions I have and aspiration. I'm like, all of this is on hold now, and I'm not used to that kind of behavior because I've been very on track with like what it is, what my intention is, what I'm after, what I'm doing, and now I'm like, the fuck? I have to make friends?
Make me an insight check as you stare into this frozen glass case that holds your twin. You kind of see their face, and then in a moment, very cinematically, your face reflects over their face, and you have this moment of introspection that may go over your head.
19?
It does not go over your head as you sit there and you see yourself reflecting through your twin, and you're having this moment of like realization as you verbalize things that you're remembering. Melody mentioned that people who interact with her typically come out of things a little bit more strongly. This party is weird, but also on a very powerful quest, or at least going to interact with some very powerful beings, and that is always a good thing for you. Even if you don't intend to make enemies, you're always down to make friends, and also down to do basically whatever it takes to make friends, because you are looking for one very particular thing, which is power. And you are looking at your twin here, and it reminds you of one of the reasons you are doing this, to get enough power to save your twin so that they don't have to be in this state of being anymore. And you think that in that kind of moment of you ranting, you kind of like stop and you're looking at them, and you're looking at at yourself, and you're like, oh, maybe there was a chance that you had been a little blinded by your by working so hard that you didn't fathom that something else outside of you, or outside of the weave, could be that powerful. And you know how the weave works, it's never up to you,
Ever.
because while you do sound like a hippie like a. I feel like people you talk about the weave, it often comes off sounding very fake about you, but that is one thing that is very true about you. It's like you and the weave really do go like
hand
you're
in
like
hand. We are one.
and so it pushes you around sometimes. And you kind of like sit there in that space, and you just kind of realize that maybe you are on the right track for what you know. Yeah, you may not know where it's going, but you're like, okay, well, I haven't failed a test yet. You passed the test. You got approved for the will of Mystery, whatever the fuck that is. You're up to fight some god beings, which very up your. You love a challenge. Like you're like, damn. You're like, I would be a bitch to fight some gods. Like, damn it. Okay, accurate. So I think of all the people here, you feel probably the most emboldened, even if it's through delusion, through that you're like for this. Like, there's a guy chosen by God. There is a very like pragmatic and moving forward cheese wheel. There is a girlie on fire who like is of this place and trained here. And I think you would feel them. You would recognize that you are the most like out of place from them, but not for the reasons that they probably think. You do think of yourself as a god killer, as a being strong enough to bind beings from the nine hells to be at your service. Like, you're that bitch.
I do not doubt myself in that regard whatsoever. Yeah, for sure.
And you can definitely, you have that thing about you can smell the fear that other people have, the fear that you kind of pick up in Tidbit a little bit of like that resiliency to do the thing, like to make the kill. Sometimes you even see with Ursa, and it's like that reservedness that sometimes keeps people from making the kill. Like, we got the boar in your sights. You've always been a person who's like, no, I got kink. So you're kind of sitting in that place of power.
Leave it to my twin to give me this epiphany moment. I need it for myself.
Yes, and as you sit there kind of like having these thoughts silently to yourself, and you verbalize out loud to the twin who does not speak back to you, you kind of like have this moment of warmth inside of you. It's like like there was just this moment of almost self-belief. You're like, it felt truthful in that moment, whereas when you normally wear it is delusion backed. It felt like, that felt truthful, felt very warm. And as quickly as you felt that warmth, it goes 1,000 to negative 1,000. It goes from the spark of something that could be hot to cold. It feels very cold. It feels very cracked. And then the casket in front of you starts to just move across the space. Like, space between you and the casket just grows vastly. You realize now you're outside. It is snowing. You're in this open space. Is just kind of like snow on the ground. There are some trees in the distance. Snow is falling around you, and the casket just starts you're not moving anywhere. It's not moving, but space is growing in between you. And growing up out of the ground is a picture that is on the Roll20, but is a old lady who kind of appears in front of you, and she goes, "Oh, well, where have you been? I've been worried about you."
Mother, I got sucked into this fucking door, and then out of nowhere, I'm like become a part of this wheel of hysteria, and now I'm on this path of beating these primordial beings? Question mark. But like, I've accepted it.
Well, it seems you've been busy. What happened with the mission I sent you on?
Oh, that was rather successful, if I do say so myself. You should have received all of your, goods from that one, didn't you?
Oh, so you killed Captain J-Mo.
What? In a way. Yeah, he's dead.
So
he drowned.
Killed Captain J-Mo. That is what I sent you to do, right, dearie?
It technically is, but I went a little bit of a more torturous route, as in I killed his entire crew, set his ship on fire in the middle of the ocean, and left him to burn and drown.
Oh, that is just so precious, but that's why we do what I tell you, isn't it, dearie? Now, J-Mo had a contracted soul, so when he dies, it matters. His little sailors, when they die, you know what happens? You wanna, since you like to think ahead, tell me what happens when people who don't have contracted souls die, dearie.
You don't receive them?
Oh, she knows things. I don't receive their souls. So I sent you to collect a soul, and then I had to go and receive J-Mo's soul. I had to drown the ship. I had to freeze him, and all you had to do was kill him, and yet you couldn't do that. Oh,
I mean, I could have
dearie.
done it.
And yet you did it. It's funny how there is what you did and what you could have done, and one of them is what I asked, and then the other is this reality we live in now.
I'm sorry. You're right. I should have. I should have just offed him immediately. I don't know what I was thinking. I got too into the moment and wanted to over embellish, as I have a tendency to do. I'm not. We shouldn't fault me on my tendencies.
Sorry, then who should I fault? Please point me in their direction. Who controls your actions? I thought it was me, but I thought it was you, but
No,
there must be a third party.
I'm definitely to fault here. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I
Well,
got, yeah.
since you've been missing for several days now, please enlighten me where you've been. I haven't been able to reach you. And
Well,
I don't
as
like
I was saying, I got sucked into a portal door, and got thrown into some simulator of the primordial princess, so to say. And now I'm a part of the wheel of Asteri and have to save the realm. That shit.
Oh,
But I was promised power out of this in the end of it.
well, primordial princes do contain lots of power. That is
Yeah, apparently they're
true.
gods.
Well, gods wouldn't lose, would they? Don't tell Asgarath I said that. But where's he at? No one knows, so guess it doesn't really matter. And that's the thing about it, isn't it? What is a god if they can fall and just be born?
True. I mean, nothing, but in our way, if you ask me.
In our way, or just something that we should hope to achieve one day. Who am I to? Well, I know exactly who I am to say.
Oh, yeah.
But for you, dearie, let's try this again. So you've been missing for 7 days, and you were
7?
in.
No, it has not been 7.
Oh, you. Let's not do this again. I'm right. You're not. Okay. I've spent several days casting this spell over and over, and I don't like to wait around, but I did it because you, my little Sylvie. Oh no, my precious Peach, because she always does what I ask. And so when I heard about the confusion, I just knew there must have been something that went wrong. But it just sounds like Sylvie
I mean, this
made
is
it.
an opportunity I got. It's not a bad thing. Like, I get power out of it. I thought you would be happy about that out of all people. Then I can do more things.
Oh, you know I love having power. Getting power is just not finite enough for me. But we can talk about that. Give me the rundown on what's actually. And then she kind of reaches out to you and kind of like puts her hand on your head, thumb right to the center, and you just feel coldness as you can feel her icy veins kind of just like creeping through your brain, just learning things that you've been processing. She's reliving your experience, something she's done often to you. You can feel that she's mad about it. She's not being nice. And you're like, oh. It's like an aggressive brain freeze that doesn't stop. She's just like in your head and she's like viewing things. And you just kind of, you're in that moment. And we're going to jump over to our friend. Let's just move down the line here. Tidbit, you are sleeping, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. You, my friend, Tidbit, get a long rest. Thank you. Ursine, what are you doing? Are you also sleeping?
I guess as much as I can, you know, I got 3 blights that are just like moving so much on top of me. One of them probably kicks me at some point. I have to like move them off of me. You know, it's a little bit of a dogpile situation, but I'm trying.
And as you are kind of like wrestling for your sleep, it's almost like maybe the 3rd or 4th time that one of those blights kind of kick you. You feel a needle kind of like stab you it pricks you, and you kind of like sit up in frustration, and you sit up, and you are in a meadow. It's kind of springish. Scott, there's an image on Roll20 for us, and you see in front of you a familiar face, a giant, gargantuan-sized tree with a large-sized face imprinted on it, and it is Agba in the most true form as you know her, a giant tree canopying over vastness. There are animals grazing about at her base, and she looks out at you. And her leaves and branches start to shake and shudder as if they're waving at you, but alas, she cannot move. She is in place.
I'll walk up and hug Agba.
Ah!
Oh, thank goodness! I've had a terrible nightmare, Agba. I dreamt that I had done my last job successfully, and then was dragged into a portal into the Fey realm, and now I have to defeat primordial princes. Oh God, it was awful. I'm so glad that I clearly have woken up, and none of it was true.
I also had a terrible dream. I had a dream that I lost my daughter. I don't know where Flora is. Have you seen Flora?
Does Agba have a daughter?
She's not spoken of a daughter before this moment to you. And outside of that, do gods have kids?
Oh, maybe.
She's a dream. She's like, is she this whole playthrough? But this is the first you've heard of her mention daughter.
I didn't know that you had a daughter, Agba.
I didn't either until she was gone. I felt it. She's not actually grabbing her head because she can't. But I felt it, and but I'm glad to see you. Oh, it's always so nice to see you.
Likewise.
And as you said, it was just a dream. So there is that. Hopefully, I can't tell these days. I see you, but sometimes I don't see you, and then I just don't know, and then I remember you, but then sometimes you look like a monkey. I'm sorry. Way hairier than you do now, and it just.
I can understand the resemblance. It's okay.
So much is going on. So much is changing.
What's happening? What's got you in such a tizzy?
I don't know. I don't know. That's it. I don't know what I know anymore. I used to know for certain so many things, and then one day it was like everything I knew was just to the right or to the left or up or down. It was all just in some way off. Sometimes it was the same. But even you're just right of who you were, but I can still see it's you. But no one else can see who you were when I knew you from then. So
it's okay. It's let's think about what's here right now. I'm here, you're here. We're both firmly rooted on the ground.
Yes. Okay.
That is what's certain. That's all we need to focus on right now.
You hear her start to whisper. It isn't changing that we find purpose. 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 You can hear the tree branches like creaking as she's like taking these breaths as if the tree itself is like expanding and contracting slower, and the creaks kind of come to a stop. Oh. Well, that was. Thank you for talking me down. That was kind of crazy. I don't know what that was.
That's all right. I'm sorry that you've been feeling this way. It's been getting a little bit worse recently. I'll do whatever I can to help you in any way. You
always do. I greatly appreciate you. I worry about you, little Uki. you're on a path to great power, but I worry that it will corrupt you rather than enrich you, and I don't want to lose you.
I'm in no path to power, Agba. I am simply on a path of balance. That is what I strive for. That is what I hope for the world.
How do you how do you get power if how do you get balance if the other side has power? You would need power to get balance.
I find a way.
I, I hope you do. Uh, well, whew, these dreams, they really do get you worked up, don't they? You
Right? The one I had was terrible.
just never really know. Oh, yeah, you said the Primordial Princess and the Will of
Primordial
Mystery?
I've been aware of the Will of his theory. Maybe it's just been maybe I've been thinking about it in the back of my head or something. I don't know. It's absolutely ridiculous, though. I'm glad that I'm here with you. Oh.
That tastes familiar. Oh, Primordial Princess and the Will of Mystery? No, it tastes familiar. I don't know why I know about them, but I do know about them.
Oh.
Which one is it? Primordial Princess.
Do you have any literature on it that you can point me in the direction of?
Oh, well, all my literature is just inside these roots. You gotta. It's me. I know all the stuff. If you want to know, you gotta get in there and get it. But sometimes you can't get out because it's too much information.
Yeah. Do you want? Is this you telling me that you want me to like go and grab that literature and?
I mean, you're welcome to. I just want you to be careful because even though I like it, doesn't mean I control it. You might get in there and just get lost inside Granite. I just can't help that.
Oh, do I have your permission?
Oh, of course.
Right.
You feel the trees start to relax a little bit, and some of the bark starts to open up and like make spaces between it. You'll have to like get in there.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
And as that is happening, we jump over to Sharp, who is sitting outside in this moment, finishing up that arcane firearm. The magic kind of like floats around it, and then you feel it solidify inside of it, and because you've crafted another arcane artifice. Mwah! You make beautiful things. You have the option to move inside as you start to hear the forest just gets a little louder. It doesn't feel like the forest in the material plane. You can feel the animals start to like get louder and like it feels threatening. This feels almost melodic. It's like the wind between the leaves of the tree like is making music. Like everything is like chimed and like it's like nauseatingly Disney-fied. It's like Winding City but like on crack and like really bright colors. It's like we are selling happiness here. And you were just kind of like surrounded by that as you start to move inside. And as you do, you notice that everyone that you were seeing is unconscious. They're all passed out. Everyone is sleeping in, albeit some weird places. You got a fairy on a bench, a guy on the edge of a pool. You don't see one other person, and there's also a frog missing. But you kind of see them in like various places, almost like walking into a party at 5 a.m. when people have just like passed out. And it's like, oh, okay. All war torn, all exhausted. Just things that don't resonate with you. Damage doesn't feel that way to you. Exhaustion doesn't feel that way to you. You don't need to eat, you don't need to sleep. So they all kind of feel a little outdated, a little primitive in respects to a high caliber being like yourself. Is there anything you would like to do as you kind of move through the space that you see these people all vulnerable to lack?
I'm just gonna sit down and look at. So is Tidbit floating on the water? Is he at the bottom?
He's the bottom.
How deep is it?
At the bottom. 15 feet.
15. Oh,
Deep
okay,
enough to
that's a
drown.
big pool.
He's sitting at the bottom of 15 feet, and
Definitely
there's
gonna,
one that's there's feet in
waddle
there.
Up to the edge of the water and just look at Tidbit, and then just turn towards the door and sit and take my rest. And as I sit, knowing everyone's asleep, no one's in the room, I'm just going to reach into the top of the back of my warhole here and slowly peel my cheese disguise off a little bit as it like bends here and kind of comes down, revealing my circular war-forged body made of metal and wood sticks that have notches that hold my cheese costume on. And I'm just going to slowly take that pick from my tool and fix a screw that was kind of loose that like popped in my mouth because that Disney-fied shit made me cringe so hard. And then pull it down and fold back up the top of my cheese and just pop it back as the seam completely disappears. Fuck Van Greech. I gotta make it work with these people now. At all cost, I'll protect them.
And as you kind of like reassemble yourself and readjust some things, you restart yourself, and we find Des in her little cubby. She's hand is in a pen on a book, fully unconscious. You, Desiree, Amara, receive a long rest as you rest buffily, chillfully. And we pop back up to Sylvie, who has spent what feels like a year of time in this dream place, retelling the story over and over again as Granny kept asking you more and more questions, more and more questions, more and more specifics. And as if you didn't know an answer, she would dig into your brain to find the answer, so that it's like now she was there. She knows enough information from you that she can like talk to you about it as if she was there. And she begins to do just that. After she like has finished interrogating you and using your body, she kind of like lets you go. Well, see, now that wasn't that bad. I love a little cooperation. Oh, so yes, you have been gone for 7 days. I don't know why. It seems Summer Song's demi-plane present is somewhere out of time and it just got all a little wonky. So I do realize that was not your fault. I also realize that you've now gotten yourself involved with the Sir Ober Summer Song, the god of time, the god of the Fae, mortal turned deity. That's kind of a big deal. And also his champion. Wow.
Yeah, see, I told you the power thing was real in this scenario.
Oh, so what's it like?
What's what like? The power?
Not being the standout.
Well, I don't know about all of that now.
I don't know. You got a champion of Summer Song. You got that one. Ooh,
I mean, yeah, but he didn't even get a Summer Song item. I got a Summer Song item.
Well, it would make sense to play with egos. If I were giving out items, I wouldn't give you one of mine. Make you work harder, wouldn't it?
I mean, well, yeah, but that's.
No, don't think about it too hard, sweetie. You've done just enough. I do worry that you've been gone for a while. Things have been weird, to say the least. Just
how weird?
Odd. Things gone missing. Things being where they shouldn't be. It's something's amuck. Not real sure. It could be all to do with a little bit of news I heard. She whispers for dramatic effect. I heard that Olivine's dead. This just in, fresh off the press. Got sucked into an eye hole.
Where did you find this?
Oh, well, I have information everywhere. The merfolk are often a little chatty, and Olivine thinks they're all on his side, so he never thinks that they would be the one to give up information. But alas, they do just like the highest bidder, and sometimes you don't need everyone on your side. You just need someone important under your influence.
Yeah.
And so
I can't wait to tell the cheese this. I'm gonna freak out.
Assuming he doesn't already know.
I mean, he's playing like he loves Olivine. If he loved Olivine, he'd be upset that he was dead if he knew, right?
Oh, well, sure, but is it
I mean, he's
not
a
more
food folk.
powerful?
They're emotional creatures.
Listen, aren't we all? Is it not more powerful to then not let on that you don't have as good of a hand as you are believed to?
I mean, yeah, but like these people don't know me. I can play any hand I want to play, and they're gonna believe it.
I agree. And that is also the case for everyone else who's playing this game. Don't make the mistake of thinking you're the smartest one in the room. We know where that got you last time. But I do think we
Here,
can learn.
I
And I
can.
think you should keep an eye on that Sharp. He's got just something about him. I think he'd be real
Right?
good at getting information on the material plane or whatever he's got going on. He just seems to
Oh, so
be.
trust him is what you're saying,
I would never say those
quote
words.
unquote.
Make him believe that you trust him. Correct. I would never trust anyone. I don't trust you, and I would never trust.
Same page.
Don't make
Okay.
the mistake. All right, that's how you
Yeah,
lose.
yeah. The typical scenario here.
But also, that while we're talking about people of interest, that Peace Walker, the
Peace Walker.
frog,
Oh, the front. Yeah,
goes by Peace Walker.
I guess.
He
He doesn't
seems
like to fight.
he doesn't, and there's just something so sweet about spoiling someone, just making them a little sour, and also making them think it's their choice.
I feel like you're letting on to something here. Why don't you just say it?
You should stay real close to that one because he's gonna be powerful, and we're gonna want that power on our side.
Okay.
So the same thing you're doing with the cheese, do
with
with
the
the
frog.
frog.
I hear you, Granny. I hear you.
Now this one's gonna be a little more
Challenging than the cheese. I mean,
well,
Sharp. Like he has his wits about him, but Tidbit, he has too many wits about him.
they're two sides of the same coin. The sharp is just always thinking, but the cheese is always watching. And those are both very, very dangerous.
I tracked.
He's got a very logical mind. He can put two and two together real quickly, even if you miss it the first time. The frog will not miss it the first time, nor the second.
Ever, yeah.
You and your
He'll
I
be
don't
on
kill
point with that
people.
one.
He almost caught you. Got close. Watch
did.
out for him. You're good. He might be just as good. Trained
You
by.
also didn't have to get in my brain as hard as you did this go around. I understand I did wrong, but like I'm also not used to you using that kind of force on me out of all people.
Oh well, normally you don't mess
Miss
up.
Yeah,
So
I know.
I
I
like.
understand the sentiment. I just wanted to get that out.
I'm a no strike kind of granny. Either you get it done or you get out of my house.
Oh, I know the drill. I've watched it happen.
But last thing before I let you go,
Yeah.
that other graduate, Desiree.
Yeah.
She's been on to some things, and I'm just not sure that she knows what she's on to. Perhaps if you can get a look at some of those books of hers.
Oh, she's like let me all in those books. What do I specifically need to look for?
Take in as much as you can, and you let me know what she's
Okay.
been looking at. Just like that cheese, there's something more to her than meets the eye. Good watcher.
All right, noted on that one too. And she is always writing in those books, and apparently she knows a lot about all of her adventuring party people already. So
You got to be quick with it. It does make sense, Gotta be a watchful eye is a powerful weapon, just like a powerful weapon is a watchful eye. That's you.
All right, then I'll utilize these people that I'm with. Make them feel comfortable. Do my thing.
All right. Well, play nice. I would love to see you again on better circumstances.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Please make a wisdom saving throw. DC 22.
Oh, every time. Wisdom, you say? 21? So I didn't hit it.
Ooh, so close. You see Granny like smiles at you, and then her face starts to crack, and like it's not like she is breaking like ice. It looks like you are watching her freeze, and like the anatomical accurate depiction of someone like peeling apart while being frozen is what is happening in front of you. It is burned into your eyes as you see her skin harden and flake, and there's flesh under it freezing as the new air hits it, and it's just like a grotesque experience. She like is dissolving back to where she came from, and you are left under. Well, you are. It's a nightmare for you.
Yeah, I've seen too much shit in the past 24 hours. Jesus.
And so the special sentence is not said to you. We do jump to Scott because he does receive Sharp does receive the effects of a long rest. I did not mention that last time. I was teasing you.
Woohoo!
As you sit there and you readjust yourself, you sit those limits. Is there anything else you would like to do before you officially finish the long rest?
Yeah. I just want to quickly open that book I got from Desiree.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I asked her if she had anything on that area, Sanjay's impact.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think I'm just really opening it up, and it's just a quick open. I'm gazing through, but I want to see if there's a picture in it of the rumored crater that was caused by the original Warforge that landed many, many, many years ago when the Warforged kind finally came to Silvernail.
Yes, there. You can make me a investigation check with advantage, which I feel like you're just gonna end up getting anyway.
Yeah, that's a 26.
Perfect. As you're like kind of skimming through this book, it kind of was mentioned to you that Sanjay's impact was north of Statue City, aka north of the Court of Summer, and it's also not a visited place. As you're looking through this kind of stuff, you find this section on Sanjay's impact, and there's factually not a lot of information, which is weird for Desiree's book. As in, she's not only not been there, but you can tell that there's also things in this book that she couldn't have learned from herself. She would have learned from other resources, maybe second or third hand information. But there's like nothing on Sanjay's impact. But you do have a picture of her iteration of the map of the Court of Summer, and you can see where it's etched out. Like there's a mountain ridge, and on the other side of that is written Sanjay's impact, and then there is like an area that is like amorphously shaped, like because I kind of drew a shape in and was like she labeled it Alien Forest, and then there is a claw, like she's like drawn a claw at the top of that. So it kind of looks like like Sanjay's impact is a cuff, then there's a forest, and then there's a claw. But all of that is just like negative information. You know it's there because it's the only thing that's not filled in on this map. You know, it's like, oh, I have every piece of the puzzle except this section. So obviously there's something that goes here, and it's this shape. I just don't know what it is. But it would be considered Sanjay's impact and the forbidden section of the Fae.
Okay.
So
I'll just try to take that in as quick as possible, and then shut the book, and then does Tidbit use a weapon or have a focus?
Tidbit was using his arcane or his holy symbol for spells. I don't think he has a weapon. Do you?
I mean, I start with a mace, but I'm not really using that.
Okay, I'm going to
I left that behind.
Gently get into the water and kind of push off and swim through the water down to where he is. And just with his mace by his side or wherever it is, I'm just going to reach out and touch it. And it just like almost sparks come from the metal within my cheese suit through to that mace. It just lights up with a ring of fire on both ends and tips off at the ends. And then otherwise you can't tell anything happened. And then I'm going to swim back up and just shake off the water as it drips off the cheese and sit there and wait for everyone to wake up.
Perfect. We visit our last dreamer, Ursine, who sits with, or who is entering into the tree of knowledge, entering into Agba, the god of knowledge, a tree of knowledge for information, a library book, some might say, and starts to kind of push through and inside. And as you kind of make it inside of Agba, is this the first time you've ever like gone through this amount of information? No. So as you kind of
It's probably not the first. Yeah, it's probably not the first time that I've done this.
Yeah. Okay. So as you kind of move through, it's kind of rough as you expect. You kind of break through, and then as you get in there, outside was like this open meadow, giant tree, kind of just like canopying over everything. And then you get inside, and it's almost like a giant, like massive cylindrical column that is like been hollowed out, and it is just books that just rack up the wall. There are ladders and slides. There's all kind of like weird things to hang off of, but like it's just like a space that is just books. You also know that this is not all the books. This bookshelf can, instead of like always going up to it, sometimes the books will rotate and like whole new sections of books will like descend down because there's just so much information. And you've spent time in here sometimes, you just like, how far does it go? And that thing just spins. Like it holds so much knowledge, allegedly all the information in the world. So much knowledge, you just keep spinning it and it's just like you've never seen it stop. But you enter the library that is Agba, the god of knowledge.
I hope this doesn't take too long. I've only got so many years left in me. I'm gonna start looking for literature on the Will of Asteri and its origins.
Yeah.
Dewey Decimal System? Is the Dewey Decimal System a thing here?
You kind of often just like yell things out at. You're like, I'm looking for, as if there was a librarian and also like a weird coffee shop you've never been to. He's like, I'm trying to get this, like, you kind of describe the drink to them, and it's like, they get you there. So, Will of Asteri and Primordial Princes is what you're looking for. AKA, okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Probably like the origins of the Will of Asteri as well.
Make me a... Let's do survival or investigation. Thank you.
I'm going to do a... Oh, I still have disadvantage because I'm exhausted.
I see. Yes.
Okay. First roll is a 19. Second roll is okay. So second roll is a 17 plus 9 is going to be 26, and then for a racial trait, I add a D4. 17, 30. 30.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. As you kind of call that out, at first, the bookshelf kind of sits still, and then it starts to spin, and it starts to ascend for a little bit, and then books start to kind of like fall off of shelves. Just bloop, bloop, bloop. They fall onto tables. They are open to pages, and the thing that you know about this place is, and a reason that it is often easy to get stuck in here is because information is often nebulous. You ask for information on the Primordial Princes and the Will of Asteri, and so it's going to bring down books that, and anyone that references those things, it's like a control F shift with a little bit of intuition. It's like, oh, okay, like these anytime those words have appeared, this is anytime anyone spoke to them, like spoken those words. Also, you know that the books here are not just books that are written. Some of these books are the life stories of people of recordable meaning. They've lived lives. It was like, oh, like the kings of certain kingdoms and certain gods would have books in them, or like powerful mages, they would have books. And so if they ever like interact with these words or said those words, then you'd also see them there as well. A 30, you get plenty of information. Is there anything, you get enough information that you can like narrow down that search even more specifically? You know there is information on those topics. Is there anything particularly you're looking for?
I guess primordial princes is important. Maybe like maybe a little bit more information on the ley lines, like the ways or the means of sort of imprisoning these primordial princes initially.
Gotcha. So you find a one book that is written by an elf, an elven mage who seems to have been alive during that time, maybe a member of the Will of Mysteria themselves, or someone who was a friend of them and listened enough that they got enough information, or they could have been a member of a secret society. It's hard to know where this information came from. But there, that the ley lines were the locations. They were the resting places, kind of like tombstones for where the respective primordial prince was sealed away, and that also is a doorway to the respective elemental plane associated with the primordial prince of that place. So in the Statue City, that Flair the Ferocious, which was the female primordial prince that ruled that place, she was sealed under what is now the main hall in Statue City, because that was built on top of the ley line to kind of just like hide it. And that is also a portal to the elemental plane of fire. It's not one that is used. Also, that because it's written in this book. This book is also thousands of years old, so that information may also be lost because it is them building on top of. And you kind of realize that the Fae like to build on top of what already was there in a way to pay homage to it, but also sometimes it's to hide certain darknesses under a more positive light. It's like, well, that happened, but like, let's spin it this way so people like, if you ask questions, you can find the answers and you don't keep looking for more questions, if that makes sense. So that there's Flair the Ferocious, who was the fire primordial prince. There was Teros the Trimmer, which was the earth primordial prince. There was the Typhoon, which was the ice primordial prince, and then there was Talos the Brilliant, which was the air primordial prince. There's a lot of talk about Talos because there's often a discrepancy between, is Talos the air primordial prince the same as Talos the divine being of destruction? Are those two beings connected? Is one named after the other one? And history goes back and forth on which of those things is true. But that is a name they at least either share or are the same being. Now in the future that they are obviously different people. Talos the god is still around. Talos the Brilliant is not. And so under those ley lines are the places where those respective princes are sealed away.
Can I look up like how they killed them?
Yeah. And it'll actually be in the same section. That the seals don't kill primordial. They couldn't kill the primordial princes. That was the big problem. They are. It's like, how do you kill time? If there is a god of time and he represents a concept, even if you kill the god of time, the concept will still stand, so it could just make another god of time. So the elements kind of work the same way. How do you kill a being that is fire without killing all fire in existence? Because fire exists because of that being relationship. So they had to seal them away. And so they used the seals to kind of block them off, like a planar binding spell. They were barred from entry, and also it sapped out some of their magics.
So not only is it like really hard to kill them, like how do you even kill them? But it would be like irresponsible for like reality to kill them.
Yes, or at least
Okay.
at least when this was written, that was the only options they had. Time has gotten a little more evolved, but yeah, they also didn't have the power to kill them. So you don't even know if it's possible to kill them because of that connection they have with the natural elements. So a banishment or a barring is the only thing that you could conceptually conceive as like a way to keep them out. And also you would know, because it's a fucking 30-year-old. There was thought behind these ceilings. The concept was that the primordial princes kept getting into conflict with each other because they all wanted to rule this shared plane. So it'd be easier if they banished them to their own plane and let them each individually like create that place, which is why there's now the primordial or the plane of fire, plane of ice, plane of water, plane of earth, plane of air. Like all these places exist because the primordials were banished from the Fae. They're banished from the prime material plane, came to the Fae, banished from the Fae, and then from there made those separate identities that became planes of existences. So it was like, give them their own playground and maybe they'll stop breaking our shit. So we just gave a bunch of houses, and it worked for thousands and thousands of years until someone decided that that'd be a good battery source. Because it was.
Hey.
Down the hill, it was a good source. But yeah, the information is abound to you, and you can also spend some more time in here if you want. You know, you can spend approximately a dream in here, which is as long as you want it to be, or as not. So if you want to spend a lot of time in here reading all these books, you absolutely can. The problem you will have is the more information you retain in this dream, the less you will likely have when you wake up, because it's hard to know. It's like, oh, did I remember that? Did I dream that? Did I make that up? Did I think that? And it all becomes that sort of same place, which is the problem that Agba has. Like when you talk to Agba, that is a problem you always have with her. The way in which she perceives knowledge, she can't tell what's real or not because she just knows so many things. And you've been with her long enough that you realize or think that she's at least two separate different people coexisting over each other. Like whoever Ukak is, like that version of her is existing with the same version that sees you actually as Earth sign. Like those two realities are like coexisting, so she can't tell like the difference of like dreams, memories, ideas. It's all like the same in her brain. And so when she talks to you, it becomes this whole like verbalizing. She's like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. So she's always just a rambling old lady. But primordial princes, ley lines, ceiling points. Anything else?
Maybe just more pinpoint location of where they might be. And then other than that, I don't think that he has enough questions. Like he doesn't know enough to ask.
Gotcha.
More specific.
Yeah, there are this information would all come from separate books, but there are locations, or at least theorized and or like quantified guesses about where they would be. As mentioned, the ley line for the Court of Summer is under the Capitol, which is the largest building that is there. It's the largest and oldest building that is in Statue City. That is where the fire ley line is. The earth ley line is connected to Tristi Listi, which is a giant tree that is believed to go through different planes of reality. You would know it as the no tree. You would have heard of it as the no tree, which doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. There was a bird that guarded it. The bird got eaten by some crazy kid. The tree died. Wild times. You guys should watch season 2 of Silver now. But that was Erica Webb over there who decided to eat the guardian of the tree. The air ley line is in between the Twiznella twin twirls. One side is Owlin, one side is Aarakocra, and right in the middle there is a ley line that causes the two to spiral, respectively. And the final is actually lost. They just know it's in the Rocky K. It's the farthest north. It is the ice ley line, and it's somewhere hidden under all that ice. There's been no contact with the Rocky K or the Court of Winter for ever. If you could try to look it up later, but like there's just not much information on that place. People do not go there. It is almost magically barred. Some have begun to believe. Also, some people believe it's forbidden to go there. So half not going there because they don't want to, and half going because if they're smart enough to know that they can go there, they don't because they know they die if they went there. So it just keeps them there. But those are the 4 locations of the elemental ley lines. And you know that you, via your Agma interaction earlier, are moving towards the thing that you picked up earlier on when you were doing your commune with the extra level was that Tristi Listi was the earth. It had the same earth signature as the things that you were fighting in your training operation, but the thing that you had picked up on in your like scan was too close to be Tristi Listi, but was reading as the same thing as the things that you were fighting when you were in your section of the training.
Simulation.
Yeah. And so you're getting like, oh, there is that energy is right here and it's in between that and us. Best bet is at least you'd have it, that's suspicious at least. It's like, oh, why is there this ley line energy happening? Not at the ley line.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
All right. And with that, you kind of like, you feel your toes kind of like you're still standing in this tree, but you feel your toes getting kind of wet, soggy. You can feel your arms getting kind of constrained. You can feel little prickles on your face, and
Oh no, this was the dream. Oh God. Oh.
and you wake up as your toes are sitting in the pool of water, and your blights are kind of slapping on around you as you wake up fully rested, as the long rest has passed, and the party wakes up in their respective areas, mostly in the pool, it seems. And strawn about, everyone receives the effects of a long rest, except for our friend Sylvie. So Sylvie does not get the effects of a long rest, which isn't the worst thing to happen. And because our friend Ursine took a long rest, he gets to remove one of his levels of exhaustion. So now he just has level 1 exhaustion. Yay! Oh, and Tanner also has level 1 exhaustion because he didn't sleep. Yay!
Whatever.
Twinsies.
It's just on ability checks, just
on ability.
Yeah.
just
Just
gotta spend the
everything.
day just not talking shit.
We're level 13. We're level 13.
You got it. Also, let it be known that Ursine just rolled that disadvantage check and got a 30. So like,
30.
I don't feel bad for none of you hoes. All right, friends. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Campaign 5, Adventures in Silvernail, Episode 7. I did it! We will be back next week where I will struggle just as hard to say the right numbers at the right time then. So come on back and join us, friends. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.